Around a year ago, Superman came out. I wasn't too interested in this movie, but considering that I really liked Peacemaker and appreciate Gunn's filmography in general, I decided to give it a chance, and to my surprise, I loved it. I don't think it's a perfect movie, but it managed to do the impossible. After the awful post-Endgame Marvel products, it got me interested in superhero movies again. So when a Supergirl movie got announced, I got curious. Supergirl is a character I don't know very well. I watched Smallville and she appeared in that series. But aside from that, nothing. I've never read a single comic book about her or Superman. So basically I was starting with a clean slate. I approached this movie with the same mindset I had for the Superman film or any other superhero movie. A curiosity to discover and get to know these characters and potentially fall in love with them. Then the first reviews came out, and I admit I got a bit worried. There was talk of a movie on par with The Marvels, The Flash or Morbius, some of the worst superhero movies ever made. Then others stated that the film isn't actually that bad, and that Supergirl was being targeted by a vocal minority of men who hate seeing a woman as the lead in a movie. So there was only one option for me. See the movie with my own eyes and form my own opinion. So I watched the Supergirl movie. Let's talk about it. Obviously, the video contains spoilers. Superman had me starting off with a lot of enthusiasm. As I said, it isn't perfect, but I found it to be a film with a lot of heart. People might like it or not, I don't dispute that. But it had all those elements typical of Gunn's movies that I love. Supergirl, despite having some positive aspects I'll discuss, is far less successful. I won't be ruthless in this video, just honest. So far, I've enjoyed everything from the Gunverse, but that doesn't mean I will defend every single project while ignoring its flaws. So let's start with a basic question. Is the movie fun to watch? This is an extremely subjective matter, but when I rate a movie, I also take into consideration whether it was a fun experience for me. And my answer in this case is yes. I never felt bored at the cinema, and the movie managed to make me feel engaged by it. It's not as fun as Superman or a Guardians of the Galaxy movie, but it's also nowhere as boring as the Marvels or the Justice League. For my standards, it was okay. Now let's talk about the plot. It's extremely simple, and simple doesn't mean bad. If anything, sometimes it's a strength. I love that this movie doesn't have all the elements I've hated about the MCU in recent years. No multi-dimensional crap, split characters, or alternate timelines. It's a story that has a beginning, a middle, and an end. It doesn't require you to see any product from this universe. Did I like the plot? Well, yes, but it's nothing groundbreaking. We have a mistreated dog that triggers a blind rage in the protagonist, and a young girl who follows her, seeking personal revenge against the very same man who harmed the animal. In short, it's Mad Max Fury Road if the main character was John Wick. Another crucial element of the plot is the fact that the bandits sustain themselves not only through banditry, but also by trafficking young women, including female children. And this leads to a plot hole I only noticed after finishing the film. At the beginning of the movie, the bandits storm Ruthie's family home and kill everyone except her. At the time, I have to admit, it didn't bother me. She's just a young girl, so why waste time killing her? But later we discover that young girls are incredibly valuable to the bandits, so why didn't they just kidnap her right then and there? It would have taken very little to fix this mistake. The scene could have been set up so that Ruthie witnessed her family's massacre through a hole in the wall, acting as a hiding spot. That way, the bandits wouldn't see her, and she would decide to seek revenge. Another thing that bothered me. Throughout the movie, Kara's powers come and go depending on whether she is in an area bathed in yellow sunlight or not. She voluntarily goes to areas with a red sun because she doesn't want her powers, and I have no issue with that. It's actually a great narrative device to keep her from being all-powerful all the time, thereby building some tension. However, at one point, the bandits travel to a planet where the sun alternates between green and yellow, and since there is a kryptonite sun, she is incredibly weak. But then, at a certain point, the yellow sun rises, and she becomes super strong and kicks everyone's ass. That makes no sense. If your opponent is a Kryptonian, you don't go to a planet with a green and yellow sun. You go to a planet with only a green sun, or alternatively, you kill her while the green sun is out and before the yellow sun rises. Am I the only one who noticed this idiotic detail? Then there's another issue. It's not strictly a screenwriting flaw, but something I have to complain about nonetheless. Krypto has only 3 days to live before the poison kills him. There is this ticking clock element meant to create anxiety for the viewer, but it fails to do so. We get the occasional shot of Kara checking her watch, but the viewer doesn't actually sense the dog's suffering. We never see Krypto in pain. We get a few flashbacks to when Krypto was taken to the healer who doesn't have the antidote, and a few to when Kara first met him, but we never see a shot of the suffering dog or the progression of the toxin as it causes him increasing pain. It's a missed opportunity. Kara is worried, but I wasn't. I like Krypto and I love dogs. I have one myself. But if you don't show me his condition and what he's going through, the situation doesn't hit me the way it should. The cinematography was good. It's not as colorful as Superman, but I think that was a right call. Superman embodies everything with a bright, colorful look, because the character is meant to be hopeful. Supergirl's tone is different. She's a tormented character, so I think it was right to use colors that were, well, less colorful, without becoming as depressing as a Zack Snyder movie. I also really liked the alien creatures. Besides having great designs, I appreciated a lot these small moments on the bus.
Excuse me, can you move over so I can sit next to my friend?
Oh, your friend? Yes.
So,
They weren't needed, but they made the world shown in the movie feel more real. I thought the action scenes were decent, and I don't get why some people say the editing is terrible. I do agree, however, that there is an action sequence roughly halfway through the film that is quite chaotic. The tunnel scene in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 showed us that having a lot going on screen is possible if the director knows how to handle it. This wasn't the case. Gillespie failed to present all the events with the necessary clarity, creating a rather annoying sense of confusion. Otherwise, the action is perfectly clear and actually quite entertaining. Now let's talk about the acting. Millie Alcock was a pleasant surprise. I found her performance very convincing. She plays the role of a girl who acts aloof but actually cares. She pulls this off by alternating between expressions that exude total indifference and tender smiles directed at the movie's other lead. I found this underlying sweetness, distinct from Superman's, to be direct and engaging. Her body language also effectively conveys when she's just messing around and when she's being serious. As for Lobo, this movie was my introduction to the character. I have to be honest, this might be one of the best casting choices in cinema history. Momoa is perfect for the role. I liked Lobo as a character, but his contribution to the plot wasn't exactly significant. Basically, the story would have played out just fine without him. I found Supergirl's cameo in the Superman movie more impactful than Lobo's appearance in the Supergirl movie. Here, Lobo serves only to show off how cool Momoa looks in the role. And I agree, he's perfect for the part. But I didn't end up liking the character as much as I'd hoped. I'd happily watch a TV series about the character though, especially if it's as good as Peacemaker. I mentioned that I've never read a Supergirl comic, but the truth is that I got curious enough to take a look at the original work. I read it because it's a standalone story, and not a saga spanning hundreds of volumes. After reading it, I understand some of the criticisms. For starters, the comic art looks gorgeous. I don't hate the way the movie looks, but the comic had much prettier colors. Ruthie is much more impactful here. The story is narrated from her point of view, and I love the way she describes events. The whole concept of the planet with the green sun makes sense in this version too. Supergirl explains the planet is literally a death trap or prison created by Superman's enemies to kill him, and it has a kryptonite sun. It's a planet full of monsters with only one water source, and a kryptonite sun barraging the whole planet. The one thing I preferred in the movie over the comic was Supergirl's characterization, as I really appreciated Millie's performance. And I think it's fair for fans of the comic to be disappointed with the movie, which was marketed so heavily as a direct adaptation. Compared to the comic, the movie is a simple sci-fi revenge movie. It has the same characters and initial premise, but it takes a different approach. Once you make that distinction, you can enjoy the movie for what it is, but I can understand why fans are upset. The thing this movie missed the most was a credible bond between the two female main characters. The comic has small moments like this one, where Kara teaches Ruthie how to clean her hands, or this one, where she explains what a piggyback ride is. It may not sound important, but it highlights how messed up this child's life has been. I love when stories take time to breathe and give us these small but meaningful interactions between characters. I didn't hate their dynamic in the movie, but moments like this would have made their bond more believable. I'm a bit confused on who the Horseman was, but that didn't stop me from enjoying the story. Now let's talk about the biggest change, the ending. In the comic, Ruthie decides not to kill Krem. Then Kara tries to kill him, and Ruthie is the one who stops her and talks her out of it. Krem is then sent to the Phantom Zone. Years later, Kara meets Ruthie as an old woman. Meanwhile, during the time spent in the Phantom Zone, Krem has changed. Since he regrets what he did, Ruthie and Kara free him. This ending is more hopeful and the message is, everyone has the ability to change and be good. I appreciate how Ruthie doesn't forgive Krem, but still acknowledges that he's changed. In the movie, Kara talks Ruthie out of killing Krem, and after she left, it's Kara who kills him. Without sugarcoating it, it's a completely different ending compared to the comic. And I'd say it also goes against the entire message of the comic. I don't blame fans for hating it. I myself usually hate when adaptations reject the source material. With that said, I don't mind that Kara saves Ruthie from revenge by killing Krem herself. Kara sees herself as already ruined and wants to spare the killing to Ruthie. I think it's a realistic depiction of how people affected by trauma feel about themselves before they fully heal. Considering how Supergirl acts in this movie, I think it's fitting for her character. This is something personal, but I tend to prefer the let's get rid of this clearly redeemable guy mentality over the we can't kill him or else we'll be just like him mentality. For Kara, Krem has to be killed, and if someone has to do it, then it should be someone like her. We also have to consider that movie Krem and comic Krem are two different characters. Movie Krem is much more evil, so it would be impossible for him to have a redemption like comic Krem. Let's be honest, a bandit who sells girls and has raped some himself can't be redeemed. At best, you can put him in a cell and throw away the key. Box office doesn't matter when discussing a movie's quality, and I usually ignore it, but for once I'll make an exception. This movie's box office is catastrophic. There are many reasons why Supergirl is underperforming. For starters, ticket prices have increased. And if a movie doesn't feel like a huge event you have to see at the cinema, people will wait to stream it in a few months. Releasing it between Toy Story 5 and the new Minions movie was also a terrible choice. And yes, superhero fatigue is a real thing. Let's not pretend it's not. It's just that the whole discourse regarding this movie's box office feels weird. Plenty of great movies do terribly, and plenty of terrible movies do great. The whole Guns DCU is dead talk has gotten old. I saw it before and after Superman came out. Then people complained about Season 2 of Peacemaker, whose only real flaw is having an open-ended Season 2, which will likely get resolved by the Checkmate TV series. Then the Lanterns trailer came out, and everyone hated it because in the 2 minutes long trailer they showed there was no green. And now we started again with Supergirl. But what upsets me the most is how almost every critique I've read online isn't really about the movie. If you do a quick YouTube search, the videos with most views don't discuss the movie's story, plot, characters, performances, or cinematography. They just try to stir up drama and bait engagement. And all this for a movie that is simply average. I want to make this very clear. I'm not saying that if anyone has anything negative to say about this movie, then they hate women. I myself hate when someone expresses criticism of a female character only to receive a "you're a misogynist" answer. In this specific case, though, I got the feeling this movie got used by a specific group of people to farm clicks and visuals. It kind of reminded me of what happened last year with live-action Snow White. I think we can all agree that this movie is terrible, and the lead actress definitely didn't help with her comments. So I laughed at her and simply moved on with my life. Except people kept milking videos and videos of her and the movie. And I get it, the movie was awful and I agree. But do we really need 20 videos shitting on Rachel Zegler? In this case it's even worse, because Supergirl isn't warranted the same hate that Snow White, The Marvels, or even Madame Web got. It's a completely harmless movie. Why does every movie have to be either a masterpiece or complete shit nowadays? Why can't something just be average or okay? I'd also like to add something else. I've read many comments from people who consider Millie Alcock ugly and crooked toothed, claiming the movie is flopping because she isn't beautiful enough. I've seen AI-generated thumbnails depicting her with a goblin-like appearance, which is extremely childish. In recent years, we've been bombarded by artificial intelligence and Instagram filters that distort the perception of natural female beauty. I find it truly unfortunate that beauty is so often equated with perfection. I feel much more represented by Millie Alcock and her crooked teeth, Anya Taylor-Joy with her unusually wide-set eyes, or a distinctive face like Tilda Swinton's, than by a girl wearing a filter. If someone genuinely considers Millie Alcock unattractive because of her crooked teeth, I think social media has seriously distorted their expectations of what real people look like. In this case, I would advise to permanently get off social media and interact with the real world. I'm sorry, but we have to push back against this bullshit. Folks, for me, Supergirl is an enjoyable movie with a beautiful and talented lead actress, a Jason Momoa who really fits the role, and a very pleasant cinematography. Unfortunately, there are also quite some instances of terrible writing. I'd rate Supergirl as decent, but considering it's the second step in this universe, it could have been much better. I'm hyped for Clayface, we'll check out Lanterns with an open mind, and we'll absolutely watch Superman Man of Tomorrow. As always, thanks for watching and have a great day.